a guy reach out to me the last couple of days who was really in a panic sort of, and he's like, "Hey, my lead generation is not where I thought it would be to this point. What do I do?" And he was asking about us at Pure Marketing doing a website for him and some SEO stuff. And I just, just maybe kind of have my wheels start spinning. And I already was thinking about that because we did something with one of my companies. We sent out some mailers, postcards, if you will, but in a unique way. And I'll get to that in a minute. And the response has been incredible. We got very fortunate with the timing because we sent them probably a week late, but we're having a late spring. So the weather always plays an influence in when people respond to that, because if it's too cold outside, they're like, I don't need to worry about this. But if it's already past warm, then they've already chosen somebody. So I've been thinking about this, and today's topic, we're going to be talking about when the leads dry up. What do you do when the leads dry up? I think for every business owner I'm speaking to, you probably are terrified for the phone to stop ringing, right? You're terrified for not to have emails, wake up to 10 emails asking for quotes or however many you're looking for. And I think it's a fear that I understand, because it feels like as a business owner, you're only as good as your next customer. And as I've said, is the theme of this podcast the last few months, this is going to be a very difficult year for everybody. And so you're hypersensitive to, I asked our admin assistant, Mary, today, I said, how many quotes did we have come in last night? Because we check, over business hours. She said, not that many, actually. And I was like, that's interesting, because over the weekend we had over 20 or something. But today I just want to talk about, I know this is going to be great information for you. If your leads have been drying up, here comes the well with a lot of water, I hope. What can you do? What is it telling you? What are some strategies? What are some ways to generate leads, customer, engagement, and ways for you to really creatively reach more people? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. The first thing I want to address in this, there's about 4 key points here, guys. The first one is, if your leads have dried up, it's usually a symptom of a greater issue. So I want you to think about, if your phone has stopped ringing, if your email leads and your website leads have gone stale, it's probably because something's wrong. It's not probably, it's almost likely. There's a fact and a point to this that you need to really start dissecting and looking underneath the surface with this. I wrote down a few things here. Do you even have a website? You guys will be absolutely shocked, and I wish I had the data, but I don't, on how many people I talk to on a weekly basis as business owners who don't have a true, fully functioning website. They have a landing page. They don't have one. They have one that GoDaddy gave them for free. You don't have time for that anymore. There's no grace for not having a website that is fully functioning, fully developed, and high quality. So that could be the first thing. Do you have a website? Are people able to find you online? How are your reviews? Reviews have really become a vital thing in our business. We had a lady who called the last couple of days. A lady called yesterday, and she said, well, I found you guys with the postcard you sent out, but I went and verified that you guys were good with your 118 or however many reviews we have. I thought that was interesting. That she did both. And it's critical, guys. If you don't have several dozen, we've talked about in Pure Marketing, you need to have 50 good reviews. If you don't have that, might be one of the reasons why your leads are drying up, because people don't trust that you're a legitimate company. You're going to do great work. There's no people online saying how great you are. So that could be a huge thing. So make sure that your reviews are being generated. That's a great place for a company that we work with. Nice Job. They help you curate and have messages to generate reviews. Automated, fantastic service. Nice Job is one of a kind, really awesome. We use them for Trifecta, my landscape business, and they're great for any business, home service, trade, anything. The third one is maybe a symptom of a greater disease issue for why your leads are drying up is, do you have a bad reputation? It's kind of hard to put your finger on what customers are thinking or saying, but people talk so much now, aka we know that with how fast the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing flew out.
Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
24 hours, it was the talk of the internet and the world. Things can happen quickly, and your news about you and a bad experience with your company can get out quickly. Whether it actually was a bad experience or was a bad customer, we'll let that be up for discussion. But you might need to do some searching with your current customers and ask if they're happy. If they are, will they leave a review? If they're not happy, why? So you can understand if your business is having an issue. So one reason could be you have a bad reputation right now. Maybe something big happened and you don't even, it wasn't big to you, but it was big to a neighborhood where you had a lot of customers, and the tornado, so to speak, kept going. Another reason why leads might be drying up, symptom of a disease, is social media. Maybe you haven't been posting on social media like you should be. I know a lot of people who say, as they get busy in one season of the year, one quarter, they stop posting on social media. They stop engaging with people on social media. Their social media dries up. Well, guess what? You might not see those effects of stopping doing that right now. It usually shows up a few weeks, a few months later. So make sure your social media is active, vibrant, creative, all those good things. And then, kind of the last thing of, let's check for something, self-diagnose what's going on. See if your employees are creating problems or maybe there's a story I heard of a company, a landscape company, that this guy, it must have been 3 or 4 years ago. This gentleman told me that he was kind of giving me some warnings and stuff. He said, well, one day my phone stopped ringing. I was having a hard time getting leads and customers, and I was getting a little confused. And then finally, one of my customers called me and said, hey, your guys have been doing side jobs on the clock. And the story was that people were coming up to his guys, and when they should have been giving the company business card to them saying, give our boss a call, we'll get you on the schedule. They said, well, we're already here. Why don't we just mow your yard for you and just give us cash every week? So worst nightmare. He's paying for them to not do work for them, and they're making money from customer that came up to them that should have been his customer. Not only did he have to fire those guys, he lost a lot of business. So I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not saying that's happening to you, but what I am saying is there could be cases where maybe your employees are not handing out the business cards properly. I know at Trifecta, all of our crew leaders have business cards they can hand out to people, so we can generate business that way. There's just so many things, but those are the main ones. I think with self-diagnosing, look for a symptom greater than the disease of why your leads might be drying up. So that's kind of the symptoms and the diagnosis, guys. Here's some things, practically speaking, that I think you can start doing. I know you can start doing that. Okay, let's say you're in a position, man, my leads have dried up. I'm getting nervous. This has never happened before. I know, especially with service and trades people, with their prices having to go up, there's a huge fear of, was it pricing? Was that what it was? And I don't want that to be your fallback, that you go, oh, it must be because we went up in price. I don't necessarily think that's the case. We went up on our prices substantially this year, and we changed our business model in my landscaping company. And we retained over 65% of our customers, and we've already filled in another 15%. So we're already at 75%. But since we raised our prices, we're already at like 90% of revenue of what we did with the same amount of customers last year. So I don't think pricing is necessarily, it's definitely a factor, but not the factor. But if you're in a place where you're like, okay, what do I do? Like I've done all these things, I've diagnosed. How do I start helping generate leads in a new way? Or maybe you didn't have any of these things were your problem. This is something that's definitely possible. Maybe you think you're doing pretty well in the areas I described, and you're like, but I'm still not generating the leads I want. So here's the other side of the coin that is probably the issue, or not the issue. Here's the things that you can change and start doing immediately. The first one I recommend is you need to hit the phones and you need to hit emailing customers hard and fast. one of my favorite things about marketing is called spiderweb marketing. And that we call that when you use your current client list, people that you know, just the people within your circle, and you, I don't want to say advertise, but you reach out to them directly. And so whether it's, your phone, you go your contacts and you say a nice text message that's about 3 sentences, and you're going to say something like this. You're going to say, "Hey, this is Fred. I hope you're doing great. I just want to let you know, in case you didn't, that I started a business here in the last several months, several weeks, whatever it's been, and I would love to serve you or anyone else you know. Please let me know and have a great day." That is not sales pitchy. That is not anything but information. And if someone's in your phone, the chances are that they like hearing from you. They don't mind hearing from you. And you sending a 3-sentence text that says something about, "Hey, I'm in business, and if I can help you, please let me know." If they're mad about that, which is, I know a lot of people's like, "Oh, I don't really like texting people and being a salesperson." Sales is defined by a good friend of mine, Dan Griffin, who was on the show, as, "I'm here to help solve your problem." So if you're letting people know with this text message that you're in business, you don't know that you could be solving a problem that they massively have that they've never had a resolution for. I met with a lady the last 3 days ago, and I was doing a quote for her, and she had never been able to find a pressure washing company. She just didn't really know like who to trust, or the small guys, her house was too big. The big guys, her house was too small. Like one of those weird things with the commercial versus residential. I was able to connect her with a pressure washing person and solve her problem. Does that make you me or salesperson? Whatever you want to call it. But don't feel like you being proactive, which is what we're talking about here. We want to be proactive with our lead generation things we're trying to do, not reactive. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But text everybody in your phone. That doesn't take any money, any time, and you'll be surprised by the great responses you have. Go on Facebook, message lots of people that you're friends with on Facebook, email people in your email client list or on your email, your contact box on your email. Just do things that are letting people know you're in business, because I'm telling you guys, listeners, you may not know, but a lot of people probably don't even know you're in business. My uncle the other day, I was at his house, and he has a different fertilizing company. He didn't know we did fertilizing plans at my company. This made me think about that. I was like, my own uncle doesn't know that? I've done a poor job marketing, to my own family. So making sure you're hitting the phones and using email. It is free. It costs nothing, and it's going to get your lead generation up from being asleep and really working great. Let's hit on proactive versus reactive sales for a minute. One of the most, I think, overlooked things is realizing that a lot of our lead generation is usually from reactive things we've already put in place. Reactive meaning, I did a truck wrap. Okay, that's reactive, because then people are reacting to what they're seeing on your truck wrap. Your shirts you've printed, the things you've done that are just kind of out, billboard, things are just out there, and you're hoping to get a reaction from a customer. One of the best thing about a great salesperson, and you need to become a great salesperson, is someone who is going proactively to somebody and presenting a solution to them instead of waiting for them. Because here's the fact, we're all busy people. And with how busy this world and people have gotten, it's not that they are not thinking about you and know they need your services. It's just they don't have time to process that. And the next thing you know, they've pushed off the pressure washing service, the lawn thing they needed for 6 months. And now they're like, well, you know what? It's wintertime, or I don't have the money. And now it's just past them. So as much as you can send, MailChimp is something we recommend to use that's proactively going, hey, just letting you know we're having a sale. We're up, we have this service coming online. Do things that are proactive for your company. I've got 2 more things that I think can be really helpful for you to help these leads, come alive, so to speak. The second one is, I'm not sure if you have, I hope you have, but if you haven't, ask yourself, have you actually ever sat down and written out a strategy on how you're going to reach people? A lot of times we hear or we see things and we just go, okay, I'm going to do it. And you throw it up in the air and hope it sticks and hope it hits the wall. But what I want to encourage you, listener, in business owner, is have you sat down for an hour or two and actually strategized your lead generation process? Have you thought about your current customers, your hopeful customers, where they're at, where they're going, where they might spend their money, how you can interact with them, how you can be proactively, in their face? Have you thought about it? Sometimes we're so busy with the hustle and bustle of our businesses that we haven't taken a breath, sit down, and thought through, is what we're doing working? Are we looking at the data? Are we looking at the analytics? Are we actually getting the right information with what we have? So I really want to encourage you, if you think your lead generation's dried up, take a moment, strategize properly, sit down, analyze what you got, and then go from there. That's number 2. And then the last thing, potentially the most important for how to get your lead generation to come alive now that it's been dried up, is, are you being creative? And some of us aren't creative. I understand that. I have a lot of creative people on my marketing team. I'm very thankful for them. But you may look at yourself, well, I'm not creative. Well, we all have some type of creativity within us. It might not look the same. It might not be on a scale of 1 to 10. You might not be a 10, but you've got something there. And if you don't, let's bring in some creative people, whether it's from church. Maybe you can't hire a company to help you, whether it's from church, whether it's from wherever, to get in a room and say, hey, I need your help. There's a lot of power in humility, guys. If your business is struggling, or maybe your business is doing great, but if it's struggling with lead generation, why don't you get a couple other business owners, hey, let's go to lunch. Can you help me brainstorm? I'm a part of this really cool group I've talked about called C12, which is like a business mastermind group of fellow Christian business owners. And for 3 or 4 hours, we get in a room and we talk about things we're struggling with, things we're hopeful for, things we need, help with in terms of conversationally. And I can't tell you how much I leave that meeting every month with great ideas and great solutions because of other people. So get in a room with people and don't just leave yourself to your own thoughts, because that can be really dangerous. So going back to the creative thing though on that, let me give you some tangible solutions of things we've done that have been creative that I think you could do, and maybe you can say, oh, I could do something like that. A couple years ago, we realized that sending out just mass mailers wasn't the best idea. At least for us, it could be for you. But we sent out, we didn't want to send out 20,000 mailers because our target customer might not be reached in that route. And maybe we're kind of spending money in a place that didn't make sense. So what we started doing was customizing handwritten or postcards that were curated a little more personally and sending it directly to someone's address that you can get off Google Earth. We generated last year, we sent out about 5,000 of those. We generated about 150 leads. I think we converted 80 or 90 customers off that. And it was a huge boon to our business. I don't want to say the exact number, but it was substantial. We just did the same thing again this year. We did even, last year we wrote letters. This year it was postcards. But we're already seeing a huge windfall of leads. I think I counted somewhere over 20 already, and we just sent them out. We're getting from our target customer, and we're doing something that doesn't take a lot of manpower, isn't, extravagant. You wouldn't look at it and say, wow, can you believe how creative Alex and the team over at Pure and Trifecta are? Very basic, but very functional, and does exactly what we need. It creates leads. And you guys, something to think about with lead generation is you never know where that one customer could take you. You could get a customer in a neighborhood that happens to be the HOA president and tells 4 other people, and then they call you. Never underestimate a lead. It can just do so much for your business. So I just want to say that. But anyways, writing letters, maybe you should take somebody out to lunch. That's very, somewhat creative. Take someone out to lunch, take them to a baseball game, get to know them. If they're a commercial customer and you're like, man, I would love to have that facility, find out what they're interested in and have an experience with them. Because once people get to know you and trust you, they're probably going to trust your business. So if you can create that opportunity with being creative in the experience you've given somebody, you'd be shocked at the results that might come from that. I've told this story a few times, but a few years ago, I was trying to get a meeting with a large commercial company in our area. Couldn't get them to meet with me. They were very busy. And so I curated a meeting that I told the lady at the front desk as I showed up in my polo and khakis and had my laptop. I said, hey, I'm here to see Bob. And she goes, oh, is he expecting you? Who are you with? I said, oh, I'm Alex with, and I made something up. I called it vendor relations. Don't know what that means still today. But that was the plan I had, and it got me a meeting. And now we do several $1,000s of business with this company. But you got to be creative, guys. I mean, it's a tough world out there. There's so much competition. Don't underestimate what other people might be doing. You need to do things outside of the box for yourself, and don't be intimidated by others. And then the last thing is, again, with the creative thing, I've even thought about, we have a football team here, the Gamecocks. I'm a big fan. And I've thought about, man, I wonder who does the landscaping for those coaches. And I mean, I've even thought about soon going out to, in front of their football facility with a sign that says Trifecta Landscaping, and a little phrase about how, I don't know, the grass is greener with us if you use us, with the coaches, because they love green grass because they play football, obviously. But just thinking of something creative, like I'm like, man, I got to get probably up at 5 a.m. Those coaches get to the office to watch film at like 5:15, I bet. But I just wanted to say that so you see where my mind's tracking. Like if I have a target customer, I need to work backwards and think about how can I create these leads that can lead to my ideal destination. So I hope this has been really helpful for you. I know it's been helpful for me in my business. This lead generation is absolutely key because leads are fuel to your business. It doesn't matter if you have a great business if you don't have customers to serve. So hopefully this has been impactful for you. I thank you guys so much for being a listener. I want to make sure you come and listen to our next episode. We're going to have a great guest on the show, and it's going to be one of the best interviews we've ever had, I believe. And again, thank you so much. Please leave us a review. We are in dire need of some reviews, guys, to bump us up the boards, and we really appreciate all of our listeners. I know you guys have probably left a review in the past. Try again. I don't know how that works, but try again. Leave us some more. And again, this is Alex Kirby, host of the Down to Business podcast. We'll see you next time. Find us on Instagram, social media, wherever you find your podcast as well, and have a great rest of your day and go out there and crush it.